you.
I'm here. I got my mic muted. Hey guys, how's everyone going? We got Jarvis in the building. He's requested this song as his entrance music.
Hello.
I just want to say a big hello to everybody that's here already. So let's go through who's here. Aaron in the building, of course. Daniel, Asia, Ines, Kenzie, Bree's here, Iona, Mecca, Steph, Scarlett, Anna, Matt's here, Love's here, Shazong's here, Casey's here, Scarlett, have I said anyone? Shelley, Chloe, Maggie's here, all the regs. I'm loving all of the join the crew emotes. Hey, JWDX8. I'm loving this. Oh, this is great. I'm loving all the join the crew emotes. It's my favorite emote. Is like, this is our big community. So, welcome to my darling husband, Jarvis. Everybody's
Very nice to be here, Michelle.
so formal. I'm just going to turn your mic up a bit.
Oh, wait.
Hang on 2 secs. Here we go. There's lots of... have you got Calvin there? Where is he?
I can't see him. He was here.
Yeah, maybe he's...
Callie.
Jenna's not here either. I don't know where they are.
Yeah. Stage fright.
Everyone's giving you a big welcome, which is lovely. How are you feeling? This is your first... like interview about what you do. You've never done this before. So this will be interesting.
No, I haven't done it, but as you know, I've got a lot to say.
You do have a lot to say, so it'll be very interesting to talk everybody through, like, your career from the. It's the craziest story, and I think I definitely wanted to bring you on tonight because not only because you're my husband, and we like. The reason that I'm a photographer is very intrinsically linked to you and a gift that you got me. But your own story is quite crazy, so I definitely wanted to take people through that. It's definitely weird. We're in different rooms. Jarvis is downstairs in his home studio. He's got the logo up on his screen. Very professional. Good work. Nice.
Of course. It's a good logo.
It's a great logo. When you get into it, I want to show the animated logo too when you're talking in a minute because it's like so sick. I've got it saved on my computer to show. Shelley said, Jarvis, not just in passing, but a full face now. So there you go. We are very prepared. We consulted on lighting and everything, didn't we? Where'd you get it right?
We absolutely did. And kind of interview substance and the journey because there's certain things we can't talk about. But it's a wild ride that's kind of worth talking through. Certainly how it began, that's for sure.
Yeah, so maybe we should start there. I guess one thing I wanted to mention is you have obviously been really instrumental to my career, not only because you bought me my first camera and you also noticed that I had obviously an interest in documenting things and which is really sweet, and the fact that you noticed that and you thought that a DSLR would be a cool gift, so that's cool. But also too, you are absolutely a pillar of support with my career. I couldn't do what I do without you, and you just allow me to be every bit the artist that I want to be. There's no question if I have to go on tour for 3 months, you're just off you go, do your thing. You're very much in my corner and always have been. So just needed to get that out so everybody knows that you are my number one OG supporter, which is very cool.
Well, I tend to think it goes both ways, Mishi, because my life is on the road as well. So it's to go do what you do. There's never been a concern. It's been more encouragement than don't go away. So yeah, it goes both ways. And
yeah, that's very true. So do you want to talk about a little bit about your, I guess, beginnings? Because like, I mean, we were going through to make some notes yesterday and the story's so crazy, but let's go back to, I guess, the night before you were meant to go to university. So maybe give a bit of background of where you're from and how hesitant you were to go to university, which the university for you was the first step into doing what you do now, I guess.
Yeah, well, I grew up like an hour south of Melbourne and the Mornington Peninsula. Beautiful part of beautiful part of the world, just a little more remote than kind of the metropolitan city of Melbourne. I'd always had a love of sport, and when it came to year 12 and what I was going to do, everything became kind of sport focused for me because that was my passion. That's what I love. And I was like, well, if I'm going to, do PE as it was at the time, I want to do PE. I want to do the stuff that that I enjoy. So it wasn't like I wanted to do, maths and chemistry and things. I just did stuff that I liked. Ended up getting into the same university course that you did, Michelle, human movement, with like a modest kind of score to get in there of 70 odd or something. But enough to get in, and it meant a total relocation for me into the big smoke and then this new university life, which what I was just apprehensive about.
Wait 2 seconds, honey. I just need to give a bit of a shout out because Scotty Mac Dad just followed, and I do believe that is one of your friends. So shout out.
Oh, shout out to the Mac. Ow.
Scotty Mac Dad in the building. That's so sick.
Oh, that's my boy. That's my boy from back in the day.
Yeah, my connection is better than yours, and I think it's because he's downstairs. So anyway, we will soldier on.
Am I lagging?
No, just a bit choppy.
Am I lagging?
A bit choppy down there. So maybe the Nighthawk is not coming through tonight.
We got the Nighthawk for
this purpose.
Purposes such as Anyway, it'll come good.
I might turn the Sonos off in case that's like. I don't know if that would be doing anything. Let's just try it because. Yeah, anyway, you continue. You were just saying we were at university together, which is quite crazy because we were both doing a degree in human movement, which is very far removed from what we do now.
Couldn't be further, to be honest. So I'd got in, done year 12, did enough, got through, didn't love school, never did, but was heavily pushed by my mum to try and get to university and was just trying to take that next step, get away from the peninsula, see the world. You know what I mean? It's a small part of the world down there with, just rolling hills of countryside as it was back then. The night before kind of orientation week, Mum was like, how excited are you, ready to go? And I was like, I ain't going. I don't want it. My life down here is too fun. My friends down here are too fun. I don't want to leave this. I don't want to move to the city. And she literally begged me. She begged me. I pushed her away once. She came back half an hour later. I pushed her away again and said, I'm not doing it. This isn't me. I don't want this. I'm a kind of peninsula boy. I like smoking bongs. I like the beach. I don't want to get out of here. And she literally every half hour on the minute back going, you have to try. You have to go. And we ended up, but she said, just go for 1 month. If you go for 1 month, you can come back and smoke bongs all you like. She's a good mum. Just please do a month. And literally pestered me. And I kind of crumbled after several hours and made the trip to town the next day and never looked back.
Yeah, and she obviously knows your personality too because you're incredibly stubborn and you also can't tell you to do anything. Like it's not, you have to actually...
Oh, no.
You have to find your way. So the fact that she was just peppering you and being really persistent is classic Pat. She's definitely a good woman, that one, that's for sure. So I guess we were in university. We did the first year. And then the second year is where you kind of made your transition out of university. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? There's just a couple of people I just wanted to shout out quickly that I didn't say before. I think Grace, Amber Lee, Danny's here. My friend Danny's in the chat. D. Philly says, I did that course as well. Funny how that turned out. That's pretty hilarious. So yeah, do you want to just, I guess, tell that story from... how you were doing that assignment and then just got randomly into work experience. I'm gonna totally try and fix the Nighthawk while you tell that story. I'm gonna tweak it.
What are you gonna do with that?
Tweak it.
Okay. What? Go.
I'm gonna tweak the Nighthawk, and you're gonna be big. There you go.
And I'm gonna get.
There you go.
Well, Michelle, you know better than any. University for me, certainly in that first year, was playing ball, still smoke bongs at that point, no interest. The ratio to me playing ball and tutorials and lectures was way lopsided. You'd attest to that. I didn't really give a shit about uni.
No.
I was there. I met some good people, yourself included.
True, and you did. You did totally, what's the word? Corrupt me. And my grades went from high distinction in the first year to like barely passing because all we did was play basketball. I don't know why I just swapped that to you. I didn't mean to do that. There we go. Yeah, anyway, continue.
Yeah, so university for me was... I like sport. I'll do human movement. Hopefully that I can find a career somewhere as I pick my way through. Maybe I can be a professional trainer. Maybe I can work at an AFL club, whatever. I really had no idea. I just knew I liked sport. And, you know, this course was heavily geared towards sport. Didn't care. You remember my kind of attendance to class was pretty low. I was a different creature back then. But in my second year, hoop fan. So every time I could do anything relating to hoops or sport in like assignment form, I just went nuts on it. And was doing a paper, let's call it, on the participation levels of basketball in Australia, which were smashing everything, like smashing all the other codes. Basketball was the one that everyone was playing, but no one really gave a shit about it from a national league point of view and a viewer. Like, how is this? Like, and all these years later, I realised the league wasn't great at that point. But I was doing a paper, a lady at Basketball Australia called Caroline Williamson, and this is the wild bit of the story, Nishi. Wild. So I'm sitting in this office at Basketball Australia in Melbourne, talking to her about this, and I've got to put the paper together, Caroline. Can you help me out? And a fax came through.
A fax,
we
guys.
We have faxes.
A fax. A facsimile.
A fax came through at the back of the room. And she ripped the fax off and looked at an Insta friend and said, "Hey, I've just got a fax. A Channel 10 basketball show is looking for someone to do work experience. Are you interested?" And her friend on the phone was so dismissive. The call lasted about 30 seconds, and she said, "Cool, I just thought I'd throw it out there. It's a good opportunity." And then I'm probably out of place. Fair to say I was out of place, and I said, I heard what you said. What is that opportunity? What is that? And she said, "Oh, it's a basketball show on Channel 10 for work experience." And I was like, "Pardon?" She goes, "I'll give you the number if you want." And I was like, "Yeah, you will. You absolutely will." So that meeting, rang the number, and ended up speaking to this I must say he was just a cool young cat, probably mid-20s. I was like 18, mid-20s, and he was just so cool on the other end of the phone. And I was like, wow. He goes, yeah, come on in. We'd love to meet you. And that's kind of where it picks. Come down and meet us on Saturday. Obviously, the season was in full swing. So they were working Saturday through Sunday, deliver Sunday morning transmission. And he was like, come down and meet the crew. And I went down there. And in all seriousness, for whatever I thought the workforce looked like and the kind of people in it, these were cool cats. They were like two lads in their mid-20s, a chick who was one of the on-air talents, mid-20s as well. Just so cool, carried themselves, dressed well, disposable income, kind of, I'm not going to say they were cocky, but they were borderline cocky, and they just had this bounce about them. And this isn't how I saw the workforce. This is really cool. I think I can fit in this. And yeah, and they were like, we'd love to have you on board. What's your experience? And I said, well, I love the game. And basically, as a kid, I was using my mum's VHS to VHS machine, making NBA action highlight reels, the best of. So I've kind of been doing this a minute.
Yeah, so basically, just to clarify what your job was, that you basically were watching basketball games and just logging the highlights for them to put into a package.
But they're top 10 plays of the week. So they have to turn the show around pretty smartly. So Saturday night for an on-air in the morning. So I play the games and the Saturday night, finding the highlights.
So it's like literally a dream job. And like the just take a step back, like just on how random the story was and how random it was that you were speaking to this lady Caroline and she got a fax and then like all of that. To take an extra step of absolute craziness, we worked out years later that same lady, Caroline, gave me my first job when I was working at the National Basketball League. She had walked into the marketing manager's office and had picked up my resume out of his bin and was like, what's this? I'm looking for somebody. And then I ended up working for her for like 2 years. And we had put it together that was the same person that gave you your first start. Like it just need to do the brain exploding emote for that.
Really?
Yeah, she's quite an extraordinary woman. So yeah, I just need to mention that because that was quite wild. So basically, you'd gone from, moving from the coast. A big change in like life, I guess. So Steph's putting the fax machines. Actually, it's the printer, but it looks like the fax machines as emotes.
That'll do.
It's so funny.
It's my fun. There's fax sound.
I know, that would be amazing. So yeah, just to take a step back, you'd gone from being down the coast, being really reluctant to move to the city, being at university for a little while but not really liking it, and then this random opportunity kind of out of the universe falling into your lap, and then you started doing this kind of work experience job for free every Saturday night. You were doing it
every Saturday night. So the basketball went for about 20 weeks back then, every Saturday night, because I knew what a basketball highlight looked like. It was a reasonable time in the league, so there was a lot of highlights around. It was easy to pick, and I'd number the plays 10 to 1, given what I knew about the game. And after about this is the kind of 19-year-old, 20 possibly Jarvis, different beast, total different beast. And it was Saturday night. It was every Saturday night from like 7 until you were done, depended on games in other states, what time you get them. And it got to a point after about, I'm going to say, you may remember this as well, it was probably 6 weeks, and I just went in there and I went, look, guys, I love this. I love doing this, but I love my Saturday nights more.
Yeah, I want to hang out with my mates, and you're missing your like youth kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm missing my Saturday nights at the pub. As bad as that sounds, it's how I felt back then, the big way. And I said, look, guys, I'm out. I want to go to the pub. And they went, no, we need you. You're part of this unit now. What about if we pay you and start paying you? And I was on, at the time, off study, which is
Yeah, I don't
probably
know what the equivalent to OS study is now, but it's like whatever that. It's not much to be on OS study. So yeah.
in layman's terms, it was fuck to live on.
Yeah, totally.
Can I
So
swear on here, Misha?
you can totally swear, honey. It's fine.
Okay.
So then they offered
So,
you
and
a
then I was
fee
like,
from there.
part of this, and I was like, yeah, okay. And they were like, how does $150 sound? And I was like, $150 to go through basketball tapes and pick lights when $150 took me about 2 months to get on off study. I was just like, what is this world? I remember some days, some nights I was there for 2 hours, sometimes it was 4 hours. Most of the time I was intrigued with what they were doing, so I just stayed on to learn the craft a little bit. So to go from 0 to 150, I just went, this is my Saturday nights now, this is what I do. Ended up seeing through the whole season. And again, learning from these kind of cool, I won't call them kids, they're like 25, lived like kings, had disposable income, were cool, they looked cool to me. It looked cool what they were doing. They were making kind of basically MTV basketball. And I was like, this into this. And then when the season finished up, they're like, we've been singing your praises to the boss and he wants to bring you on board. And they'll formulate some kind of traineeship and in like a clearly outlined traineeship where you get a taste of everything in television. And I was like, well, university's not going great. I don't love it. I don't love it. It's, yeah, well, that I don't love it.
Yeah, so you were
Um,
like, let's give this traineeship kind of like see if this works, because they were gonna, I guess, train you up in all of the elements of television. Like that's what they had promised, I guess.
and there, and and there was nothing really in place from a government point of view like this. So they fully formulated this course and went, right, Jarvis, we're going to obviously got a grant from the government and didn't pay a cent. But they were like, we're going to formulate this course over 12 months. So the first month you'll do live television. I think I went on like for a couple of mornings to learn about live TV, and then I did a stint of camera work, and then I did a stint of, they did the Formula One Grand Prix at the time, so I was out there doing live TV, OB, outside broadcast, everything, and then editing was one of the components in there.
Yeah, so you
Yeah, and
said,
I
I think you said to me last night that you'd said, you kind of had seen that what the editors were doing. You saw that they were on a pretty good rate, which was like obviously interesting to you, but you would sit and learn and watch them. But one of the things that really stuck out for me that you said last night is that you were watching going, I actually think I can make something cooler than that, which first of all is classic Jarvis, but also is a testament to I think it's the reason that you've been so successful is that you've often seen things and thought that you could improve on it in some way because of the way that you watch television or watch sport.
It kind of encapsulates my arrogance right there.
I like to say confidence, honey, not arrogance.
Well,
but yes.
Sorry. Yeah, bad choice of words. But I remember sitting there, and part of this was what a great opportunity for me to learn television. I never thought I did media at high school. My mum was a media teacher at another high school. I couldn't give a shit about media, but kind of was just thrust into this world. Was sport television, so I was like, well, I know sport, I like to watch. Do you know what I mean? I know the kind of high energy clips that I like. And then from their crop or their stable of, shit hot cutters. These guys some of them are still around and they're really still really good. I was able to sit in the back of these edit suites for these 50, 60 plus dollars an hour, which felt like a lot of money to me back then, earning 290 modest dollars a week. And then just sitting there learning and just sponging and asking questions. And then, the way the business was run, they would be, editors working till 10 o'clock at night. I'd sit and watch and just kind of learn and just ask questions. What's this? How does that one there? And it was just, I don't know, took the opportunity to learn. I was intrigued by it.
Yeah, totally.
And I was like, well, you know what I mean? It was just, it struck a chord with me somewhere, and I just was like, watch their work. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I think I can do it better.
Totally. And then I guess after that year of the traineeship, you went into like a second year with the NBL show. So you were saying that you were doing, I think it feels like a blur this year, but you were like every Saturday night you were doing 24-hour shifts. Like you would work all the way overnight to get the show out. How did that work?
Totally. So after the traineeship year, they bumped up my pay by, a bag of Skittles and some corn or something, and kept me on. And were like, you're part of this. We've got a new basketball show called NBL Zone or something, from memory. And what happens, we'd turn all the games around again from the weekend to be like at 11 a.m. on Channel 10 Sunday morning. So it was basically arrive at the studio at 10 a.m. on the Saturday and leave at like midday on the Sunday and get it done.
Yeah.
And so I knew nothing else. I watched all these guys go through it. I watched, our team of 4 just fatigued, but that was it. Like, you've got to get it done and get it out. So it was ingrained in me, that kind of work ethic and hard work culture, which is television to this day for me.
Yeah, totally. I think it's something that is like really consistent with the people that I guess do make it and are successful, is that really relentless work ethic. And I mean, you've definitely instilled that in me as well, because I see you consistently working as hard as you do, but it is kind of necessary. I definitely feel like in Australia we have this, it's different in other parts of the world, but we definitely have a work ethic that, if you can work really hard and prove your worth, like it does mean that generally you will be successful.
Well, my whole mentality, Mishi, was like, I've just been thrust into the workforce in somewhere I never, ever, ever imagined. I need to earn my stripes here. Like, I need to prove to these guys why they put me on for a second year. And, I don't want to whinge about working 20 hours straight, because all these other people are doing it with me. So it was like, this is what TV is. Like, you grind it out and get it done. And I just thought that was part of earning my badge, I guess.
Yeah. And then I guess it did get to a point at the end of that, after doing a full kind of season, that you were like, okay, well, I do feel like I've proven my worth now, and I do feel like, maybe I am needing a pay rise. And then that didn't go that well, did it?
No, what happened is I thought I was more valuable to the company than I clearly was. Which is, it's happened before and will happen again. So at the end of that, I thought my input was pretty good, and so would everyone on my team. But the bosses, when it came to the end of that calendar year, and I said, if you want me back next year, I'm going to need some more money, because it was such a pittance of a wage.
It was ridiculous.
It was like $30,000, which, like, I don't know how to equate it to the modern day. But this is 1998,
and especially for the hours that you were putting in as well. Like,
busting my ass.
Yeah, especially for, you're in an industry that is notoriously quite well paid, and they literally were like not paying you very much. So the traineeship year the government paid, and that was not enough money to live on. It seriously was not.
And so when I got a small bump that second year when I wanted to go into a third year. I think I asked for 40 grand from memory. And the CEO of the company was like, wouldn't have thought, champ. Uh,
Catch you
uh,
later. So,
Catch you later. Because I said in the note, I said, you got to give me 40 or I'm bouncing. I'm out of here, which is probably a little bit of arrogance as well. Confidence, sorry.
that might be
And
bordering on arrogance, that one, but
I was like, yeah, because it seemed like nothing. I knew what all these other cats were earning in there.
yeah,
It didn't seem like 40 was a stretch.
yeah.
And then I sent the note in saying, I need 40 or I'm bouncing. And he said, good one, champ. Catch you later. And I was like,
Yeah.
shit. What? Yeah. So at that time, it was like, well, what do you do? On to the next. I thought I'd had, like, it was a kind of slim looking CV, but I thought I had some runs on the board to move into something else, into TV, because I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
I like the space. I like the creativity. And then that company, the two managing directors butted heads, as happens often at the top, and then separated, and then the boss who had not told me to bounce, the other boss, rang me 2 weeks later and hired me as a freelancer.
Yeah. That's right. Well, that's so it was like
Well,
yeah, it was like
he saw my worth.
he did see your worth. So he approached you a couple of weeks later and said, "Come work for me as a freelancer."
He said,
and that's essentially
yeah,
where your like career started.
100%.
Yeah.
And the fact that he knew what had gone down with the other boss, and he was like, I'll take this guy on. And kudos to him. Taught me a great deal.
So I'm just gonna
And
I'm gonna pull up some of your work now while we're kind of talking into the next part of your career, because it's when you started working in motorsport, which is cool. So
very cool, very cool. No interest in motorsport until I had a hot lap in 1999 on one of these outside broadcasts, and then my respect for drivers went through the roof.
yeah, totally.
Through the roof, and started to love working the television side
So
of
I'll see
it.
if I can pull it up. This is the Clipsal opener, but this would have been a few years later. But while you're talking about
It was a few years later, but I'd worked on a show called Trackside with Murray Lomax, who'd pulled me across for many years with Grant Denyer, and many years, and was kind of doing everything on the show.
yeah, it's just it's good because it's a good example of like the quality of work that you do. So even though this is
Yeah,
actually really
I
old,
didn't.
but it's still
Well, yeah, but I didn't bump this out in '99.
no.
This was like a Channel 10 job for Clipsal, maybe 2015 or something. But that was my love of motorsport. And motorsport is fun to work on. It's fun to cut. It's fast. It's cool.
Yeah.
And it was something new to me, and I kind of liked it, and I kind of fell in love with motorsport when I traveled the country, going to all these events.
Well, the other thing too, I think the reason that I think your sport work has always stood out, like people have always appreciated, is that you've always cut things like a music video clip, So it's always like you cut to music, you feel the vibe. Kenzie said she remembers this video, so that's cool.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, like you've always cut things like it's a music video.
Well, like going back to what we discussed earlier, when I first started messing around with music and cool basketball images, it was about the way I like to watch TV.
Yeah.
And what appeals to me. So it was like, I know what I like, so other people probably like that too. And it was about adapting this kind of frenetic pace, you know what I mean? And all the good cutters in this country roll the same way,
So I guess to take it a step back, between like you worked basically on motorsport for 4 years, like between 2000 and 2004. So that's where you really kind of cut your teeth in that world. You went away for a year. You left me. You went overseas for a
Gap,
year.
gap year number
You left
two.
me for a year and you went to London and partied your little ass off. And everybody said you'd never come back. And I was silly for letting you go, but off you went and you did your thing. And you did come back, which
Yeah,
is cool.
there's not a lot I can talk about relating to
Yeah,
that
let's
year.
pass on that one.
Yeah, let it go.
But then,
If you know, you
when
know.
you came back in 2005, and you started working on the FIBA basketball show at that point.
Well, I came straight back in. I remember I landed in the country, and like a day later, I was back in the building that I'd worked in um, the years previous. And I remember walking back in there going, "Oh, what has just happened?" It was literally the same facility, the same tape room, the same kind of edit suite. And I remember my head just melting, me going, what just happened? It feels like I never left. And yeah, that was a head melting moment.
Yeah.
Just walking back in there, going, "Wow, I've just had potentially the best year of my life. Just traveled 28 countries, did everything in Europe, um, but then had the opportunity to do the FIBA show. So it was back to basketball again after a foray into motorsport, back to basketball, which was like an international show. So it wasn't just the National League here; it was FIBA, which is the governing body of basketball globally. And it was like, well, I don't get to play with one league; I get to play with all the leagues. And jumped in on that. Didn't travel, so I did that for 3 years, and then in 2009 things shifted around a little bit, and I got the opportunity to travel. So we were going wild, absolutely wild. So we were going to all the big tournaments in the world for the basketball. So I went to like crazy stops, like Lithuania, Poland, Spain, Puerto Rico. I was going to all these tournaments around the world and just sitting there going, what is
I'm gonna see if
happening?
there's any
Like,
photos on your Instagram from back then. I don't know if there would be.
no,
Might have
no,
been
they won't be
before
from there.
the
It
time.
was before smartphones.
Oh yeah, it
I
might
don't
have
know.
been before smartphones. That's a
Yeah,
good point.
I think so. I think that's exactly what it is. But just being in world champs in Turkey in 2010, just sitting there pinching myself, going, "That's Kevin Durant and Team USA out there," and I'm sitting here pointing a camera at them. Just kind of those moments in life where you literally pinching yourself, going, "How has this happened? I don't know how, but I'm so appreciative of this right now." Um, yeah, so I guess basketball has been really good to me.
Yeah, I think you definitely
Um,
like defined your career as such. Like people know you for the
mm,
work that you've done on basketball in Australia, and it's like what you're, I guess, most known for, really.
Definitely, I would say
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I would say that as well.
Um, but then transitioned into in that in that bracket in 2011 after the basketball stuff dried up and the company went a different direction. Um, and I was hired as a freelancer like for 6 years. So you can imagine the hourly rate for 6 years, 4 days a week, and then these trips as well. They just realised that that was probably money not well spent, and went another way and were trying to get me to go on the books as a full timer, and I just went,
Catch you later.
that's not for
Yeah.
me. Um, but and then went into the kind of freelance world of like, Winter Olympics, Commonwealth Games, that whole
Yeah, I've written
cycle.
down here Fox Footy, Com Games, Australian Open, V8s, Winter Olympics. You were freelancing, I guess, in the sport world, but you'd get booked for contracts and then you'd go to another contract. But you were never out of work, were you? It was like you just go from one contract to the other contract, like it's literally the freelancing world, like that's how it works, which for people looking from the outside looking in, um, that kind of work can be really scary, but when you're living, I guess, lives like we do, you find, I don't know, there's freedom in that. There's freedom in just not really knowing where the next job's coming from, but they call you to go to the Winter Olympics and off you go, and once you're in the circles, you continue to get work.
And the way those gigs work, they book them 12 months out, so you can kind of
map your year out.
Can allocate, you can map your year out big time. And then if I could go, that's cool. I've got the Olympics coming up in August, and I'm going to do a couple of supercar rounds here and there, or do this. But then was never ever reluctant to go. I'm not going to do anything for a couple of weeks, and never be concerned about where the next buck was coming from, because you had your year mapped out.
Yeah, you could have a bit of a break in between, and then you knew you were going to something else.
Totally, but the best part about that kind of lifestyle, and most people in TV will say the same thing, you always work with different heads. So you're never dealing with the same people. Like you are loosely, but like every one of these jobs, you're working with different cats, and it kind of keeps you fresh, and you bounce around. There's a new environments and new people you've never met. Maybe you don't like all of them, but it's just cool, and you never get sick of people, and
it keeps things interesting.
Here and there, you see the same heads, and it never. I was never worried about where the next buck was coming from, and it was kind of cool and kept me fresh that you were just dealing with different people.
Yeah, totally. I totally relate to that as well. I just wanted to touch on, in that time where you were freelancing, you did make a pretty big leap into the documentary world, and I'm just going to show some of that you basically made a documentary on Mick Fanning, which is a pretty big deal for, I guess, your first documentary. But do you want to tell how that came about? While I'll show that up on the screen as well while you're talking.
Yeah, I've got to be careful how I word this. But
do you?
I'd done well, potentially. I'd done all this work for all these clients and all these places, and some places you worked at, you basically carried people. You carried people because the edit suite was like, it's the bottom, it's the crabs at the bottom making everything work and putting it together. So you can get, and I dealt with so many people that contributed very little, and yet the end product was great because of, what the edit team had done. And I was just so bummed about it. I was like, man, I've made that cat go to his weekly meeting and everyone high fives him and how good the content is, and he's done fuck all.
I like that you had to be careful about how you're wording this, but you've gone pretty hard.
This is the dumbed down version, and I remember just going, I don't like this. Like, I don't want to be this person that chops these people out.
Yeah, you didn't want to make other people look good. Like, you wanted to do stuff for yourself, essentially.
Exactly. So that's why I did the documentary.
Aaron said, bro, this is so true in nearly every field. I think, a lot of people will be able to relate to this.
Totally. But you get to a certain point where you back yourself, you have confidence, and you go, well, I was happy to make this crew look good for this time and this time, but then it's like, I back myself to be able to go and do my own shit. And that's what the documentary was. It was kind of a rebirth into something that had my name on it, and Mark Howard at the time. Shout out to Howie.
Yeah.
And it was about us knowing we could achieve this and do it ourselves without needing anyone's help. So that was a real kind of cutting of the umbilical cord type thing, I reckon, and just getting out. You
just said something really interesting then, because I think you were also really instrumental when Claudia and I decided to make a documentary, and there was a few times where we were trying to get other people involved, and you were the one that was like, you don't need anybody else. Like, you guys can do this yourself. Like, stop trying to get other people's opinions, because they were kind of throwing us off, and you were like, you guys have got this. You were like, our biggest champions for being able to do it ourselves as well.
Yeah, you've just got to back yourself, and you get to a certain point in your life where you can do it, and you kind of carry yourself with an element of confidence where you can do it.
Yeah, you've got the skills. You've worked.
You've got the runs on the board.
You've worked hard enough. There's been some great comments. Steph has said, it starts with group projects in uni and never ends, in terms of like carrying, you're always carrying that one person.
And it wears you down,
Yeah.
that shit.
Yes, and Aaron said middle management is full of people with no skills. That's why they go into management.
100%.
Yeah.
And I just got sick of it. I got sick of it because I knew that I know the kind of, reception that was happening at the crew meeting each week, and everyone was like, everything's looking amazing. Well done, Knackers. Your stuff's great. Give him a clap. Good job, Knackers. And I'd just be like, this dude did nothing. He actually made it harder for me to do this job.
Yeah.
He was getting the accolades. So that was when I wanted to break away from that world.
Yeah. Another one, I think it was a really career defining moment for you. I'm just going to pull it up. Was when you did the documentary on Jake,
Yeah, absolutely.
UFC fighter. What's his surname? I've forgotten. Jake
Matthews.
Matthews. I just
So
went blank.
the Mick Fanning thing, um, tremendous. Got picked up by ESPN in America, if you
I do
recall.
recall, honey. Yes.
They was Yeah, which is a massive deal. So your first foray into the documentary space with Mark Howard and myself, and ESPN in North America want a piece of it. We were just like,
Yeah.
wow, like
Totally.
that's that that's kind of proof that you can kind of cut it,
Yeah.
in this
Gave you a lot of
game. That's all.
confidence to be able to kind of continue to do stuff at that level.
Totally, and it made me want to just continue down that path
Yeah.
because we could clearly do it
And how did
at the level
how did
required.
the UFC doco thing come about? Because yeah, I'm not sure. Like, did they contact you direct or?
No, Fox Sports, a bloke called Robbie Tasker contacted me because Fox, we'd gone to sit down with Fox, Howie and myself and say, hey, we got this Fanning thing. You guys want to run it? And they were like, we love it. It's
I'm going to
fantastic.
show.
We
I just
just
want to
watched it.
interject. This opening sequence, I think, is one of the strongest things you've ever done in your entire career. It actually blew me away when I saw this. But continue. It's fucking incredible. Like, so amazing.
Yeah, people lost their noodle about this. Like the UFC when we did this job. So Fox Sports contacted me and said, "Hey, there's this kid. He was 18 at the time, then he's 18 here. He's much older now and moved up a division, and he's a real problem." He was like, "This guy's a stud," and they had like Dana White had called this guy, a stud, this up and coming kid in Australia who's 18, burst onto the scene. I think he went 3-0 in the UFC, and that we got to do a documentary about this guy. And I was like, I'm in. I'm absolutely in.
And just talk us through this opening sequence, because it is still, to this day, visually one of the best things I've ever seen in my life. But you literally called the fire brigade and asked them to start a fire for this.
Yeah, well, Jakey lived in Epping. So I'd been out to their training centre, Accelerate Training. I'd gone out there and then went, this needs an opening sequence. This documentary needs an opening sequence. And I was like, and my cameraman, David Rose, who's still one of my very good mates and one of the best DPs in the world, was like, let's try and do something with fire. And I was like, fuck yeah, like, let's do that. And I cold called Epping Fire Brigade and went, hey, gave him the spiel. There's a young UFC fighter, lives around the corner from you guys. He's on the burst. We're doing a documentary about him. Can we come down and you guys light some fire?
Which is
Seriously.
like so insane, but also so inspiring, because definitely one of the things that you have taught me is like there's just no ceiling to what is possible, like that's wild that you even thought of it and that we're able to implement it. And
No one literally rang them and said, hey, we want to do a fire sequence with Jakey. This documentary will be played around. And I think they asked in return that we give them some Foxtel and some pizzas on the night. And we literally went down there. You can see the opening sequence. They hosed down this back area where they do controlled fires and controlled burns anyway.
While we're talking about
It's like this is where they train the kids who are on the come up, and we literally went down there, got the fencing which Dave Rose got on his way to Epping, that fencing which is UFC spec and looks tremendous, and then we watered down the area. And they literally, the fire brigade guys were like, "What kind of flame do you want?" And I was like, "What?" He goes, "So yeah, if we put diesel on there, it does this. If we put unleaded with a combo with diesel, it goes blacker. How tall do you want it?" And in all fairness, the fireys were loving the shit out of it. They were just like, "Oh, tell us when, how big," and we're like, "Bigger, make it bigger, and make it look hotter, and no black smoke, more unleaded." And they bought into the whole thing, and the result is right there. And you can see that we hosed
Yeah, the
down
hosing
the
down is
foreground,
epic because you get that mirror.
so we got
It's
some reflection.
so good.
And when this doco went out, the UFC in America were basically like, "That opening sequence is fucking ridiculous.
Well, it
Who
is
did
actually
that?"
ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
it's still, I think, my favorite thing that you've done to this day. It's like, yeah, it's pretty
And
amazing.
then Jake's an 18-year-old kid at this point, and we're like, "Yeah, you're getting your fighting trunks and walk in front of the flame." And he was like, "Yeah, cool, cool." And I'm like, "It's good. We'll get the shot." And he was just up for it. "Hey, can you do a spinning kick, Jake?" "Yeah, sure." It's all there, and that came together really well. And still to this day, there's people in this country involved in the fight game. Robbie Tasker, who just got that opening sequence, it was mental, man. Like, still.
Yeah, cool. And
Like,
you mentioned that when you were tracking him, he actually lost a fight while that was happening, and his dad blamed it on you.
yeah, this was the hard day. So the whole thing was, the fight camps in the UFC are about 10 weeks. So you get your opponent, and then you go into camp for 10 weeks. Your coaching staff kind of scout the other fighter, and you train for him. So if he's a ground specialist or a jiu-jitsu guy, you train heavily in that, and you try to counter what he does. And so they were like, "Jake's going into a fight camp for 10 weeks. There's an event on a UFC fight night in Adelaide, and that will be the crescendo for the documentary when Jake goes and takes care of this
Yeah,
dude."
he wins, and it's like, woohoo, like
It's
happy times.
a fairy tale. This kid's on the rise. He still hasn't lost in the UFC. Wow. This guy's special. Like, he's going to be one of our great fighters. And so we filmed the whole fight camp for 10 weeks, like really thorough, like the 3-part documentary, at epic levels. And then we get to Adelaide, and Jake at that time is 18, right? He's still a kid. There's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of kind of hype around him. We get to Adelaide, Jake gets caught up in the moment, the crowd have a saying, which is, "Let's go, Matthews, let's go." And they all chant and clap. And Matthews is in the octagon fighting this Texan dude, James Vick, and he's in there clapping with the crowd.
Yeah, he was like...
No, he was like, he was well on top of the fight and just got so ahead of himself and was like geeing up the fans. And it's like, his head's not in the game at all. Ends up, he's winning the first round. Then James Vick just guillotines him and taps him out.
Yeah.
And everyone in the world, including myself, everyone in the arena is just like, "What's just happened? This wasn't scripted. This wasn't the way it was supposed to go."
Yeah, that's not what was meant to happen.
I had a relationship with his dad, Mick, which was okay. He was good enough. He was looking after his kid, and for good reason. He was a coach at the time, so he was looking after Jake's best interests. And our relationship wasn't amazing, but he accepted what we were doing. And then after the loss, we're sitting in the hotel foyer. I said, "I'm bummed. I think the documentary's shot. I don't think we've got a chance to make it good. He's lost. He got cocky, got arrogant. It's the story that no one really wants to hear." And then I'm sitting in the foyer, and his dad had a beanie on, pulled right down on his eyes. I remember looking over at him. I hadn't seen him since the L. And he's just pointed at me as I walked towards him and said, "This is your fucking fault for making him feel like a rock star with these cameras." And I was just like, oh boy.
Yeah, you just take it, really, didn't you?
I wasn't going to say anything because he would have clipped me real smartly. So I had to just go, "Yeah, well, what do you do? Like, I feel like, I feel like he got caught up in the moment, and Mick, it was hostile, but that's the kind of guy he
Yeah.
is. But that flattened me right out. It actually turned out that the documentary was better because it was this journey that Jake had gone on, because he then fought in Melbourne at Vodafone Arena, I think, on the Rousey card, and won. So the documentary was a
Which was
three-parter. It
very
was his
exciting when
journey.
he won that. I remember watching that and being very, very pumped for that.
No, because he was getting smashed
And
in the
then
first
turned
round and
around.
came back and won it in front of the home
You
crowd.
definitely have
But
made me a huge UFC fan, because I think before you did the documentary, I was very ignorant to what UFC was, and was just like, oh, it's just like meatheads beating each other up. But while you that process of working with Jake and really getting an understanding of just how technical it is, and there's real strategy to it, and I've got really amazing appreciation for it now. Like, I really enjoy it. It's really cool.
well, as part of the documentary, allowed access, we're going to say 90% of the time, and the weight cut that Jake had to do for that Adelaide thing is some of the best TV I've ever made. Just watching him go back and forth from the Epsom salt bath to the sauna, and then back and onto the scales. This is
Because
like,
he's up a weight class now, isn't he? This is when he was trying to
yeah,
cut to a lower weight class, yeah.
to lightweight.
And it was
And
really taxing on him.
like the documentary, I'll throw it up on YouTube. It's harrowing to watch. He couldn't walk. His face
He
and
was
his
really
eyes were
gaunt.
just, he was
Yeah.
gone. But this is like 2 a.m. before he's fighting the next day. They're trying to make weight. His dad's carrying him out of the
Yeah,
sauna,
it's
and
super harrowing to watch.
I was just like, this is wild. Like, there was all the other fighters were kind of doing the same thing, and I was like, this is not
Yeah,
healthy.
totally. Like, you feel like they're these fit, healthy guys, but they were getting to this point of cutting weight, which seemed really unhealthy.
Oh man, and Robbie Tasker, who got me on the job, said that sequence that we cut of the weight of his weight cut is just
I wonder
you
if I can
can't
pull.
look
Do you remember
away.
about what minute it was? Might be able to.
Oh, it's in at
Oh, it's
it's
in
in
it
at
too.
2, I think. Yeah, it's at
Okay.
2.
I was going to try to pull it up, but that's okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's wild. So now he's in. He went up a class,
And he looks
a
much more
welterweight.
comfortable in that.
Also, he doesn't have to go through
Yeah.
that pain. And like, I remember his dad saying to me that cutting that much weight, he lost vision in his eye the day of the
Yeah,
fight.
yeah.
So
It's wild.
his body was so drained, kidneys shot to pieces. Go out there and expect to perform at the highest level.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
Crazy.
the appreciation for what these guys do. A, that they get in there with a very real chance they're going to get their head punched in, and B, that what they go through to get there. Loved making that. I've loved the UFC ever since, because my respect has gone through the roof.
Totally. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I guess from there you've moved on to. I mean, you did a. One of the things I was going to show is the opener that you did for the grand final. You were telling me last night that there's like you got to earn your stripes, I guess, to make the opener for grand final day. Like, that's not just a thing that you walk into. That's after many, many years, you're given that opportunity. I was just going to play.
Did I give it to you, that clip?
GF opener.
No, that's NBL stuff.
Oh, oops. Okay, wrong one.
So that's all right. Off the back of the Matthews thing, which turned out really well, and him losing was a blessing because it made the story incredible. He learned a great deal and he grew during that time. But then I got the opportunity to go back and work on the NBL. So
Yeah,
basketball has been very good to me.
yeah. So I've just got a bunch of. So basically, between 2016 and 2018, you went from being a cutter, and then you were actually given full creative control over how the NBL looks in 2018. And
Totally. I guess that first year I did the NBL, I was cutting only, but I loved cutting ball. Like, that's not a job to me. Like, I'm making and I ran post production, so all the games that they'd record every camera, and I'd keep all that stuff and group the clips up and kind of run it like a pretty tight operation. So every game I'd try and log so you could go back at any point and know a highlight that was logged with the player's surname first. And then you had a clip which had every angle of it. And you get flicked through it. So I felt like, I don't know how many, I'm sure the NBA operate on a similar level, but I kind of liked what I instilled in the program. And anyone who came to cut with me was like, man, this setup is extraordinary.
Yeah, the system's in place and stuff.
The system's in place. So a cotton three-pointer would have every angle of it within this one grouped clip. Editor's dream. And anyone who came through felt the same way.
Well, definitely what we noticed when we were watching the Last Dance documentary is that somebody had obviously done that at some stage, because there were angles that, like, B-roll stuff that you never get to see. And I was asking you specifically about, like, who would have been shooting this stuff. It's like there was just moments that I was blown away that they had that archival footage of, you know? Like, it was, yeah, pretty awesome to see.
I think that back in 1997, 98, the Last Dance year, they would have every single camera angle from that season. Do you know what I mean? Like the NBA and certainly North American sports, they don't fuck around when it comes to archiving their stuff. They keep everything, and they know how valuable it is. And you can see that in the 30 for 30 series. They've got archival vision that you wouldn't dream about, because someone thought it important to keep it because there might be a story down the track. Unfortunately, we don't feel that way here.
We just don't have the budgets, I guess. It's like totally different money, you know.
Yeah, massively different. The NBA is worth a fair bit more than the NBL.
I just want to say, hey, Gis, watching good content is following me now. Thank you so much. Just wanted to say too, like, when you were responsible for the look and the feel of the NBL that year, you did a big shoot at the start of the year. And I'm just going to show you some of the setup for that, because it ended up being quite a cool... Do you want to talk through the profile shoot that you did and stuff like that?
Well, every year, the first year that we did the NBL, it was when the season starts, there's like a media day where all the teams come to town and we try and get content for the year. So I would sit and interview, I'd pick out 5 players from every team, sit down and interview them, and then we have another room running to do what are termed hero shots. So, you know, when someone's coming into, you know, if a player's gone off, you have an intro to him where he's kind of green screened or whatever. But in the third year of the NBL, they basically gave me the reins. They gave me the reins and said, whatever, do what you want. And I was like, it's going to be expensive. I want to really make this shit hot. So I'm going to need a gaffer and a grip truck, and we're going to do this properly. I want David Rose back on the job. But this is the wild side of television where, you know, this preseason tournament was in Bendigo. So we drove up from Melbourne, you know, at 8 o'clock at night. They had domestic games on that didn't finish till 10 o'clock. We had to shoot these hero shots at 8 a.m. the next morning. So all day we had to cycle all the teams through and pick up shots of all the guys, which is a massive, massive day. But you also want it to look shit hot.
Yeah, I'm just showing about what those shots ended up looking like, because they did look really, really cool.
Yeah, that's the finished product. But that's like a whole day of directing someone, dribble, throw the ball, pass it to me, dribble through your legs, dribble looking at camera. Like, you get 10 minutes with every player, and you would literally so fatigued by the end of the day because on to the next team, cycle another guy through, let's go. Hey, this is Bogut. Like, we got to, you know, Bogut's coming out. We can't miss this. Don't fuck this up.
And you were saying that too, the night before you spent basically, like, you were up until 2 or 3 a.m. getting this lighting right and had to be there at 7 a.m. the next day. So, like, you know, it's like that just work ethic is quite evident again.
Well, the domestic competition didn't finish till 10. So we couldn't get into the stadium till 10. And then we had this kind of grip truck, and I don't know if you've got the still photos there. We had this lighting structure.
I put them up before, so yeah.
This lighting rig that we jacked up to the roof, and they had so many different lighting templates, and do you want stars? Do you want this? And we had a smoke machine, because you always need a smoke machine.
Absolutely, I'm big on the
But
smoke machine.
they were just rolling through all these variations, and it was like,
I'll show you the
man, I
settings.
think I know what we want to do, but we just got to keep messing with it. So we fucked around from 10 o'clock. We weren't set up until probably midnight to have everything in place. And we basically just tinkered with it until we got it right. So we had the lights, see the backboard structures on the wall there. They were two like kind of flared lights that we'd crossed over to get that kind of backboard thing. And literally at 3 a.m., we're like, oh, I need something else. And so we swung that around to get, so you can see that backboard. It's nice and asymmetrical. But that happened at like 3 a.m.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, right, that's the shot. Let's bring them through in the morning.
Yeah.
And this is the result when the graphics are put on and
The
they're
graphics
chopped
look
up.
so sick too. Like they're really like they yeah. The lighting and the graphics really make it. But it definitely like, you know, I think the NBL for years had just weren't able to reach a particular standard, and then you came through this year and just like, we can do this at a world-class standard, you know, like, which is...
Yeah, and I still think that the NBL's gone a different direction now, but I still look at this as potentially the best shit they've done.
Yeah, of course, because you did it, hon.
No, but have a look at it. Like, it was
Yeah, it
so
looks
good.
sick.
And everyone who worked on the production saw these were like, man. And there's a fair bit of pressure when you come into something like that. So I was like, I need money. So it was like, I'm not going to say how much it was, but they were
It
like,
was a decent budget.
there was a decent budget. They said, you tell us what you need. And I said, well, I need X amount of money. So all of a sudden, the pressure's on you to deliver. So that's why working from 10 p.m. till 3 a.m. is a no-brainer, because we had to get it right and grab a couple of hours sleep and then go back and talk 100 players through a bunch of moves that you want to see. Massive day, but when the result turns out like that,
Yeah, it's worth it. Totally.
it's all worth it. And I'd do it all again tomorrow if I could.
Totally. I wanted to talk about what you're currently working on, because it is very intrinsically linked to what I'm doing on Twitch at the moment, but you're currently making, and have been for the last year, a documentary on esports. Do you want to explain what that is about?
Well, off the back of the Mick Fanning thing, I wanted to do, that was the pilot episode of a 10-part series that I wanted to do, and ended up pitching to this company that have now hired me to do this thing. And I was like, I want the athlete stories, like Mick Fanning's, where he went through some genuine hardships, like really, really serious shit. Death of his brother, tore his hamstring off his bone, like the most extraordinary story that people didn't really know so much about him. And I wanted to do that on a bunch of athletes in this country. So plucked out 10 that I thought had a decent story, and pitched it to this company and said, this is a series, this is the pilot, Mick Fanning. And I knew the Fanning thing stood up for sure. I knew that stood up as a pilot.
Yeah, it was solid content.
To go to market with and say, hey, there's 9 more of these coming. Can we get a pre-sale on this? And they were bullish about it. They were like, bro, what a great idea. But I think this company, their client base is international. So Australian athletes meant fuck all to them. Fanning's an international name, but a lot of the other guys in various codes that we have here don't mean shit to the international market. So I think they went a little cold. Went a little cold out there. We totally understand it. And then they went cold on me and were like, because they were so bullish, like, what a great series. And then literally went missing in action. And I was like, God, we went from, God, we're about to sign a big deal for you to make this series, to nothing. And I was like, how does that happen? Just communicate with me, please. And they literally, maybe 2 months later, said, hey, we misread the market on this. The money's not there that we thought. And it definitely had something to do with Australian-only content, because they're pitching internationally. And then I went, oh, cool, thanks for getting back to me, months later. And then maybe 12 months later, they reached out and said, hey, we've got a series for you to do. It's not sport, it's esports. And I was like,
Yeah, I remember when that happened, and you
I
were
do
just like,
sport.
yeah,
I do
you're like,
sport.
what's this
What?
computer game shit? Like, I don't know. I can't
I
relate
just,
to this.
I didn't think it was shit. I just didn't know it.
Yeah, yeah, you just couldn't, you didn't have a connection to it like you did with sport. So you were just really hesitant at the
It was
start.
very foreign. It was very
Yeah.
foreign to me. And they were like, hey, if you do this for us, they dangled a big ass carrot and said, if you do this series for us, because they needed someone to carry this with this big this big client in LA that they'd gone into partnership with. So they needed someone to make this. And we're like, hey, your defining series, we struggled to get the money for that, but we've got the money for this series. If you do this for us, um, you can do your series off the bat.
Later on.
And
Yeah.
I was like, we can learn about esports.
Yeah.
I'll do what I have to do if that's the end goal.
Yeah.
And
So you've been working on this series now for a year,
yeah, 12 months. 12
and
months.
it's like pretty close to being in. I guess you've done well. It's kind of taken a few side turns, but like you're kind of close to finishing soonish.
So it's kind of best case scenario again, Mishi, where May last year they said we got this series, and I was like, oh, maybe I can do it. And they said, well, we'll help you out. We've got a guy in house called Justin, who's an esports guru, who's currently doing a show. He'll be your kind of assistant producer, and he'll help you get up to speed on this. So this is in May, and then they'd slated a trip in June, and I was like, man, I've got a fucking shitload to learn about this esports. And then Justin became kind of the oracle for me. So any time of day, I'd sat with him, we had coffee, I was learning about this, what's that, what should I know? And we mapped out a serious North American trip in which I did 6 cities over 29 days, just delving into this esports space that I knew nothing about.
Yeah.
But then knew what content I needed because I'd made TV before. So literally went on the road and just lined up all these interviews with some big ass names in the space and just bounced around 6 massive cities just doing esports interviews. And I remember one guy, I've like a big name player who meant nothing to me, absolutely nothing. I wouldn't have known him if he popped up in my porridge. Like I had no idea about it. And then Justin was on set that day and he was like, oh, this guy's kind of a big deal. He got a little bit fanboyish. And I was like...
You don't know who he is.
I was like, I know nothing of this dude. And the guy said to me, how long have you been in esports? And I was like, about a month. And he goes,
just an interjection there, 2 things. Cherie's in the chat and she said long hair don't care. So
come on.
He's been in isolation, really been growing these locks, so it's very impressive. Katie's just asked, may I ask, what is esports? We didn't give that an actual definition, but do you want to just describe what esports are?
Great question. That's why I'm making this documentary series, to explain to the punters what's going on. Professional video game.
Yeah, so it's the world of basically what's happening every day on this particular platform as well. And you were the one that really opened my eyes to Twitch. I remember when you showed me, we were actually sitting at this very spot and you showed me Twitch and I was like, what the hell is going on there? Like I just couldn't get my head around it. But it did spark a little thing like, oh, that's really interesting. I wonder if I could use that in some way down the track. So like... Fast forward a year, and then when all this shit happened, I was like, oh, maybe I can jump on Twitch and see if we can do something. But you were the one that had introduced me to that.
I thought it could be something that you could look at, and here we are. But I did like 50 hours worth of interviews over 30 days in North America, and the esports community were like, you don't know what Twitch is? It's the fucking biggest thing right now. It's interactive entertainment and it's changing the world. And I was like, I don't know anything about this, but the passion in which this community speaks about Twitch and what it is
Yeah,
Just
there's definitely I guess it's entertainment that's direct to people and they can connect to the people that they're, I mean, just like we are on this channel, but there's definitely gamers that are making hundreds and thousands of dollars a month playing video games, and people are watching them play video games and getting tips and
yeah,
how to be better gamers themselves. But there's definitely a platform that is really interactive, and, through the chat, you're able to interact with people and see what they're asking live, which I really love that. It's just like, I can see that Steph's just said, never heard of Twitch until you posted about it, Michelle. So there you go.
there you go.
Yeah. Just wanted to, if anybody's got any questions for Jarvis, we will wrap it up sort of soonish. But if you've got any specific questions, chuck them in the chat. I'm sure he will answer them. Cherie has jumped on Twitch. Did you know, Jarvis? We're going to have to watch her streaming soon.
Oh, happily.
Yeah, I'm definitely keen for
Very
that.
supportive.
Steph said all these people will be like, see, Mum, all that time playing video games is paying off. That's, I mean...
That's part of the documentary.
Yes.
That's a big part of it, this kind of generation misunderstanding that there's genuine career paths, albeit the fucking top 0.001%, much like traditional sports, but there's a genuine career path if you're a good gamer now.
Yeah, totally. One of the things I wanted to show, which it's really... why you can still talk over the top.
Yeah.
I just wanted to show your animated logo because it's so friggin' cool.
Oh boy.
I love that you love it as much as I love it.
Well, look, because when I got it done, I just was blown away. My guy Neil Sanderson pulled this out for me. Look at that thing.
I'm gonna play it again because it's so cool.
Oh boy. Like
replay it.
Replay it. Like that, he did a number on this. And I still love it.
It's got great sound design as well when you can hear it.
It's Hollywood spec.
And your company name is called Got Next Productions, which I guess ties into your love of basketball
and fighting
and the backwards cap little man, which is kind of like looks like you but mean.
yeah. He's just he's not me. He's just a cool cat.
Yeah, he's not you. Just if you've got any questions or any specific things for Jarvis, just let us know in... Aaron has here. I have a technical question. What is the best ND filter on a budget? Also, thoughts... the second question, do you use ND filters when you're shooting? You don't shoot as much anymore, do you?
No, I don't. And what I do, Aaron, is this guy, Dave Rose, and the guys I use in America are like the best. They're the best DPs you can get your hands on. So they're technically sound, and we basically sit down. I help them frame up, but they kind of do the rest. I don't kind of get involved in that side of things. I just know.
You know what you want it to look like, kind of.
I know how to frame up, and they know how to make it, pop as well. You know what I mean? So I don't sit there telling them how to suck eggs. I just help them frame to my liking.
I'm just laughing at Cherie's comments. It's hilarious. Claudia's just popped up and asked a question. Hang on. Well, it came through on text, so she must be watching. Ask Jarvis to tell us what's the long game vision for him. That's a really good one. And I want to go back to another technical question after that.
Clouds. Love you. The long game vision for me is to do what I'm doing. Like, to be given the reins and the budget to make this documentary, of which I've kind of funneled it the direction I want it to be. So it was supposed to be a 5-part series on esports. I went overseas in June and talked to some shooting survivors from the Madden esports event in Jacksonville where 3 people got shot. So it's delving into that side of it as well. And I literally came back here and said, esports is great. Everything about it's great. I'm happy to do the series, but the best stuff that I shot on this trip is these links to violence and these gaming addiction and stuff. So I said, I'll make a feature length, which is a 90-minute documentary. It's the strongest content we've got, and we'll do the series as well. So in answer to your question, Cloud, it's kind of doing that. It's making these feature-length documentaries.
Yeah, you definitely see yourself in that world, don't you? Like,
I love it. I love the puzzle. I love sitting in interviews going, how's this going to fit in the edit, and how are we going to do this, and what do I need to shoot to kind of seamlessly put it together. I like the puzzle, and she would.
Yeah, well, Claudia would know that firsthand because she's literally put together a documentary and knows how difficult that is. But you're both really great storytellers, so it works in that regards when you're good at that sort of thing.
It's the most rewarding part when you finally crack the code and you've kind of pieced this puzzle together, and it makes sense and it flows well, and it's got some hard left turns that people don't expect, and you keep the audience guessing. It's that puzzle stuff which she would appreciate as well. That at the end,
you really love that stuff, don't you?
Well, that's fucking hard. It's really hard, but when you finally nut it out, the reward far outweighs the pain of doing it. It's very rewarding.
Katie's asked, do you think that esports is becoming more than real sport? I guess she means bigger than real sport, but there's definitely instances where it is in terms of viewership and stuff now, isn't it?
Well, it's starting to be, and what you'll see now is the washout of the generation, and these kids that grew up with only gaming are going to see. And I went to an event in Sydney last May, like this time last year, the IEM Extreme Masters, which was basically a first-person shoot 'em game, the Counter-Strike Go, and there were 10,000 kids and people in this stadium at Kudos Bank Arena. It was exactly like being at a sporting event. They were like cheering for each side. They were chanting. It was exactly what traditional sports was to me for this next generation. So I reckon as we wash out the older crew and these video game kids come through, that's their sport. This is going to be their sport, digital sport.
Aaron's got a really great question about your thoughts on 4K. I feel like it's quite topical at the moment.
Oh boy, Aaron.
Is it worth low-budget content creators to shoot at it at this point? I do know how you feel about this. So,
well, I can tell you that 4K everything takes 4 times as fucking long. It's like everyone wants it. The clients want it. They can sell 4K content. 4K and 5.1's appealing to the masses. All the Netflix stuff is that spec. It's a ball ache to do. It's horrible to manage. So
it's like the systems aren't actually built to cope with the 4K.
The data for this documentary is like 60 terabytes. It's 60 terabytes of raw stuff that I've got that I have to fumble through. I don't actually fumble. It's very neat. But you're dealing with so much media. And when I have to export something as a preview file for the client, it's like, yep, there's 3 hours. Yep.
Yeah.
So it looks amazing, but I don't think our hardware's ready because I've got, the quickest drives. I'm running on USB-C. Everything is as fast as it can be, and it still battles.
Yeah. So as a, low-budget content creator, I
wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it unless the demand was there and they requested that.
Yeah, something.
It's so harsh. It's so hard. It looks amazing.
It looks amazing. So much longer to
Well, it's just data.
God, I've got the funniest question from Steph. I would love to know how you're going to answer this. How do you deal with imposter syndrome, Jarvis? That is so funny, because I know you so well. How do you deal with it, honey?
Well, if you know me so well, you can answer for me here.
I don't think that you really deal with it that much. I think
I don't know anything about it.
We've actually had this conversation before because I think, and I actually believe that you've taught me in this. Back yourself. And it's very, very common for artists to have imposter syndrome. But I remember we were talking about it one day and you were like, I don't know anything about that. I don't.
What are you saying?
I don't feel like I don't belong here. I absolutely belong here. I've worked.
No, because I earned my stripe. And
you worked really hard.
There's a couple of defining points in your life where you go, I belong here. I know I can do this job. And then from that point on, you kind of, I'm going to say, you just back yourself. What is something funny, Michelle?
Oh, Cherie's just like fully like asking the funniest questions. I'm just laughing. She just asked if she should do her Insta stories in 4K.
Stay away. Don't
Yeah.
do it. Don't do it. It'll fuck up everything.
Katie asked been one of the biggest difficulties over the past few years and how did you deal with it?
Well,
Maybe dealing with me in isolation.
no issue. No issue. The biggest problem has been this COVID thing, and knowing we had all this content in the can. Like I'd shot 7 weeks in America last year. I have the series here, but COVID was such a speed bump that, I was like, this content is king. Let's get this shit out there. The series is going to be really strong, but given what was happening in North America, the investors got cold feet, and I totally understand it. I totally get that. This is a really fucking strange time. So just navigating COVID and staying engaged in this product, challenging.
Yeah.
You know how challenging that's been for me. You've been here.
Yeah, it's been a really challenging time for both of us actually to navigate like our lives turning upside down from being in a pretty comfortable position and going really well.
2020 was looking pretty good.
2020 was looking good. We're both traveling a lot. We're supposed to be traveling a lot this year and a lot lined up and booked, and then literally it just was like, phew,
As it was for everybody.
Yeah,
but then when the
very valid.
investor money dried up in North America, it's given the partnership funding this product, the communication broke down a little bit, but it's fine. That was challenging, not knowing whether we were continuing with production. But you know
guys
how
have pushed on, which has been
how I've
positive.
handled this. I've basically just kept tinkering with the thing, knowing that there'll be an end in sight.
Yeah, you've kept pushing through. Katie's asked, do you ever throw anything away from your hard drive after a certain point, or do you keep it all? That's a great question, Katie.
I have in the cupboard under the stairs there, I have 35 1 terabyte hard drives with everything on there. I just think the minute you throw something out, you need it.
Yeah, I'm the same. I've kept everything that I've ever shot. I don't throw anything away.
Well, and drive space isn't so expensive anymore. Like you can buy terabytes for not much. So you just make the investment and throw it away. Throw it in the cupboard.
Aaron's come up with another brilliant merch idea. Back yourself, printed on the back of the shirt.
Fucking do it. Back yourself.
Speaking of merch, I just wanted to confirm that I have ordered the first run of Join the Crew black t-shirts, which will be, I don't know how long they're going to be, but I've ordered them as of today. So, yay, crew. We're going to have t-shirts soon. How cool is that? Your brother sent me a text. It says, a miniature cow feature-length documentary. That is a very funny family in-joke there.
It's an in-joke, but it's a good one.
It's a great one. There's a few. Oh, that's good. You've got a new follower, Cherie. Adam's followed you because clearly he likes your sense of humour.
Yeah, I'll...
Cherie just says, I have a non-trolling question. This is a really good one. Do you think you'll get backlash highlighting the violence and video game link? This is a really good question. I mean, I don't know. Do you want to give too much away?
I'll touch on it briefly. Good question, Sharizi.
Don't know if you want to give too much away, but maybe you don't want to give too much away.
No, we explore every possible aspect of this.
Yeah, I would say it's a very balanced exploration of that issue.
We go as deep as we need to and come back. So
yeah, unbiased, as Cherie just said. It's like completely unbiased, so I remember saying to Jarvis, I feel like people might get really upset if they see the first section of it. And then...
That's 100%. And one of the guys I interviewed in America, who's a massive esports guy called Slasher, he said, man, I asked him about the violence, and one guy in particular who's gone against the video game industry a bunch of times, and Grand Theft Auto, he's tried to bring it down. And he said, man, don't go here. We've been here before. It's going to feel played out. And that's okay. That's how I want it to feel because we explore so many angles and
Yeah,
there's,
you got to bring up the I guess the discussion point.
yeah, and then we go hard on it.
Yeah, cool. If there's no other questions, like chuck them in if there's anything else. I guess that's pretty much. I had a couple of questions for you actually.
Oh, what do you got?
Um, well, I mentioned that I'm traveling a lot and stuff, but I'd like to know, how do you feel when I like go away and leave you leave you for months on end while I'm touring the world, and like you're very supportive, but are you like genuinely okay with it? I feel like I know the answer to this.
Well, exactly. I think you know the answer. We've discussed this.
Yeah, but maybe other people think that I'm lying when I say that you're really supportive.
No, I'm 100% supportive, and I, I'm fine with my own space.
Yeah, you nearly said it then. You genuinely do like when I go away, don't you?
I wouldn't say genuine.
I mean,
That's not the right word.
you're not crying about it when I go
I,
away.
I haven't cried yet, but I like my own space. We're all different creatures.
Yeah, you
Uh,
are you deal with it a lot better than
I like it. I'm
when
fine in
I deal
this
with it.
world.
When you
Yeah, I
go
think
away.
so.
I'm
I
fine when I go away, but when you go away, I'm just like, oh my God, it's so lonely. I need my friends. Everybody come and hang out with me. I like
yeah,
people around me. But you're like,
I'm
chill.
fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I can
And then when I
deal with
come home, you're just
struggles.
like, what? It was so good when you were away. Like, you can go again.
I regrettably I did say that.
You just got used to me being away. I was away for a long
I
time.
did. I think just I don't want to say the freedom, but just the kind of
You don't
whatever.
say freedom because you have freedom when I'm home anyway. It's not like I
I know,
don't
it's
let
the
you do
wrong choice
anything.
of words. But I just the anything goes type mentality, and I don't party anymore, so that's not a thing. But
Sheree
just
said you
the
can fart freely. Like, you do that anyway. Like, what? There's no. Yeah, so this is a fart
good
freely
shout, good
zone,
shout.
I think, generally. I was going to. Oh, Adam said I arrived late. What's the documentary called, and when? How can we see it? Somebody else asked that question earlier, and I forgot to ask that. You don't. We don't actually know
I
where.
just there's a big kind of deal being done right now,
We
and
don't know what platform though, do we? I don't think you should say anything, by the way.
no, I just can't because I don't want to
Shh.
hinder what they're kind of doing at the minute. But there's four 1 hour episodes and a 90-minute feature,
Yeah.
um, which is wild, which is
Yes. That's
which is
very. I
correct.
know that I saw your trailer, and I don't have any interest in esports, and I was like, this is the best content you've ever made. Like, I actually got quite emotional. I had like what's it called? Goosebumps and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
yeah,
like, this is really like. I mean,
it's heavy. It's really
it's
heavy.
heavy, and it's also to get me interested in something that I'm like, I have no interest in. Again, shows that you're just a great storyteller and really awesome at what you do.
Yeah, but and that's the whole thing with esports. It's not my forte. I don't know anything. The most gaming I've done is during lockdown with my mates on my headset. And I understand it. It's fun. It's very social. It feels like I'm at the pub with my friends talking shit on the video game. But coming as an external and outside into this esports space and trying to convey this message and educate the the audience of what's happening here. I'm the perfect person to do that because I'm stepping into the zone and learning it as well. So it's through my eyes what I'm
Yeah,
learning.
there's definitely something to be said about that, like not being like completely. I mean, I
Like
definitely
a
even.
biased gamer or anything, you know?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I feel the same way about when Claudia did the documentary too, just having like not being as fully entrenched, but coming into it as a new person and then learning so much about it. You do have a completely different perspective that's not biased, and you're able
Well,
to tell the story in a
yeah,
much better
I'm
way.
kind of on the same journey as the viewer, you know? Trying to
Yeah.
understand this new space, which is fucking mind blowing, by the way. This Twitch world, esports, what it is, the money, this kind of emergence of this digital sport is wild. Like
Well, the great thing
it's
about the platform is that it puts the control back into people, and then people can choose to pay for the content that they want to see and want content to creators to continue to make and support those
what you want to see.
individual content creators rather than these huge corporations that maybe occasionally might spit out something that you like, but it's like a direct way to be supporting, content creators, which I think is amazing and obviously very about.
No, I think it's extraordinary. This interactive side of things is the way forward. Like linear TV is going to be forgotten
Totally.
real quick when you can jump on here and go,
Well,
well, I know my favorite streamer's on, and that's the content I want.
There's something for everybody as well, which I and Aaron have definitely found occasionally searching Twitch for random shit on here.
See, I still get enjoyment out of that.
When I show you something random, I'm like, what's going on here?
Like somebody sleeping.
Oh yeah, the sleep one. The chick that chick was crazy. I said Cherie and I said that to the girls as well. Cherie and Liz.
What is that?
There was a girl that was sleeping, and she had how many people? Aaron, was it
2,000?
2,000 or 3,000 people, and like over 1,500 subscribers that were paying to watch her sleep. I'm like, you go, girl. You get that money to
she looked
sleep.
Very peaceful. She looked very peaceful in that
She
big
did look
beanbag.
peaceful. She did. And apparently you could pay extra she would sleep for an extra hour if you pay. I mean, that is genius. Imagine getting paid to sleep, and there's people that just want to watch that content. I mean, there's content for everybody. I feel like you get on those sleep streams, Mish. Chloe just wrote. I don't know if you guys would appreciate my sleep streams quite as much, but yes, Amberly said that's so creepy, but the hustle is so real. It is so friggin' creepy, and I don't even want to know the psychology behind it, but I mean,
she's doing her thing.
She's doing her thing. Like, no hate.
She's found a little niche.
Yeah.
A strange one, but a niche.
It's definitely a niche. Aaron was saying the space is being consolidated, though. Corporate always find a way. I mean, they always do. Like, but hopefully that the individual content creators can keep it as individual as possible.
It's an outstanding platform, and I'm so happy I understand it now and was thrust into learning about it really quickly.
Yeah.
This is a crazy world, and more of it, the better, I reckon.
Steph said she might become a professional eater. Want to watch me eat a burger? I actually think there's people that do that. So
I reckon Cherie's straight in on that.
Cherie would 100% be in the burger eating.
Chicken wings,
burgers, absolutely. 10 burgers, she just said. 10 burgers.
10 burgers.
And she would eat them in record time, and everyone would wonder where the hell she put
it. Where does it go?
Where does it go? She just said she had some riblets for dinner.
There you go. Yeah.
If there's no other questions, then we might wrap it up really soon. Thanks for coming on the stream tonight. It's really lovely to talk to you and hear your journey, which obviously I know because we have been together literally the entire journey of our lives. It's been
21, 2, something.
So you might be coming up to 23 years, maybe. I can't remember. There you go.
In a Jordan Last Dance year, that's perfect.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
So you've seen the evolution of bong smoking Jarvis to this latest iteration.
There's been a few iterations, yes.
Yeah, this is 4.0 right 4.0.
Here. I'm very proud of 4.0. You're very
doing it.
Yes, you make me proud every day. You're actually very inspiring, and I think like the reason that I've got so far in my career is because you've really pushed me. Like, I get to see the stuff that you do and know that it's at a level, and it inspires me to do stuff at a level, and it's really cool. It's cool to watch, and we're constantly chatting about where we're at with our careers and where we're going, and we talk about this stuff constantly. It's really great to have you in my corner, and you're the best, and I love you very much.
You're going okay too, kid.
Classic Jarvis. Very romantic, this one. Very full of the
That's,
romance.
that's not what these platforms for.
Everyone's crying now on the stream, they said. They're all crying. Thanks so much for tuning in. Just wanted to mention thanks again to all the subscribers. You guys are so awesome and supporting me to continue doing the stream. There's going to be, if we get to the subscriber goal of 100, I'm going to have a very special giveaway to randomly just one subscriber. So hopefully we can reach the new goal that I've had to increase so many times because we keep reaching the goals. So and a really special thank you to just all of the regulars that show up. Like, I mean, pretty much everyone in the chat today are OGs. You guys have been here from the start. You show up every single stream, and I really appreciate it. Actually, just you can attest to this, Jarvis, how much this has like made, especially this period, really awesome for me and being able to get me through this time. So.
You've become like this inspired being in a time in which going outside was weird. There was a patch there where going in the supermarket and going outside was weird. You got this kind of thirst for delivering, to a Twitch community and really getting a buzz out of it.
Yeah,
like
it's,
a
like
serious
I said,
buzz.
it's the same people that are showing up all the time. It's a little Twitch community, and
Just your crew.
It's my crew. Yeah, so I am really inspired to bring new content all the time and cool guests like yourself that hopefully can inspire other people as well. So it's very cool. I'm just, where's the Jarvis emote? Yeah, we definitely need a Jarvis emote. We wanted to try and work out a regular segment for you somehow, which would be. Steph just said.
I've got some thoughts.
Oh, gee, about the.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll workshop.
We'll deal with that later.
We'll workshop.
We'll spitball.
Steph has said, what would the documentary about Jarvis be called? From bongs to ... That's hilarious.
I'll get back at you. That'll be my next injection into the stream. Will be Jarvis's documentary series.
I know. From bongs to man buns.
Oh, bongs to buns.
Bongs to buns.
Look at this thing.
Oh my God.
And I appreciate you having me on, Michelle, because this is the first time I've worn pants and a top for 2 months.
You literally have not worn clothes. And like,
Today I did.
I'm not going to complain because you are very, very fit. You're in the best shape of your entire life right now. So I'm not complaining that you haven't been wearing clothes except like just underwear. But it is hilarious that you did choose to wear clothes tonight. So I do appreciate it.
Well, I had to. But you know that during lockdown, clothes have been scarce.
Yes. And the community saying that I'm their Twitch mum, which is very, very cute, and I've adopted them all, which is very sweet. You're all my adopted children.
That happened quick, and I like it. Good to see.
It did, especially for somebody who doesn't want to have children, but everyone in the Twitch stream can be my adopted kids. I'm okay with that.
That's your crew. I love it. It's nice.
And Kenzie said... so Katie said, sorry, thank you to Aaron for saving me when I need it, that's Aaron on the tech, being a legend. So thanks, everybody. We really appreciate you tuning in. Sunday, don't forget, portraits. We're doing the Sunday challenge stream, which will happen at noon on Sunday. And you guys have to get your portraits in, and we will... we'll have a winner, and I think Georgia, who won last week, will be on the stream to help judge, which will be really fun. So we want to do that every week. So whoever wins the creative challenge, I don't like to call it a winning, but creative of the week.
There has to be a winner.
You're big on winners, number one.
Oh, it's good. It's a good feeling.
I'm just saying that like whoever is chosen as the creative of the week can come on the next week to choose, just so we can involve the community more. So I yes, Mecca, you've got to get onto it. Everybody get onto it. Don't be scared of your portrait, Kenzie. Just get around it. We're nothing to be scared of here. We're all family. Aisha said you should start saying the bloodline ends with me. Instead of saying that we don't want children. I love it.
I hate it. I don't hate it at
We are
all.
100% going to say that, honey. The bloodline ends with us.
Each day I stand by our decision and I love
We've
it.
definitely stood by it in Corona times, haven't we?
Oh,
How many
yeah.
times have we said to each other, like, oh, good decision, that one?
Oh,
No, love you guys. Thanks so much. Gonna stop streaming now. Stop talking crap. I'll see you guys in the Discord group. If you're not in the Discord group, there is a link. Please join us. We're talking, we're talking offline about photography stuff as well. But we'll see you Sunday. Love you guys. You guys rock. Big kiss. See you Sunday.
ladies.
Bye.